Hey,
Let's see. Hey, how we doing, man?
hey, man.
Hey guys, can you hear me? Can you see me?
Yes,
Yes,
yes, we
sir.
can.
Okay,
Hey,
awesome.
I appreciate you coming on, man. I know it's late over there. But first and foremost, the thing I want to say is thank you so much for coming on to the podcast. We are obviously a little bit smaller of a podcast, but to get you on here, man, it's a real pleasure. I thoroughly enjoy your videos every single day. You literally got me through my last few preps by watching your videos on the Stairmaster and on the treadmill. Love your content, man. I love your opinions on the sport. So thank you so much for coming on.
You're welcome. You're
Yeah,
welcome.
man.
I
Great
checked your
source of news.
I checked your channel. I didn't really watch any podcasts, but I saw that you have quite a few episodes. I mean, I know you're new, but yeah, if I can help you, maybe get some views, it'd be awesome.
I greatly appreciate that, man. And again, kind of touching back on
Yeah.
like your channel and and like your viewpoint of the sport. It's a very unique viewpoint of the sport and how not necessarily blunt that you are, but you just kind of tell us the truth of what you're truly thinking. And I think that a lot of other media outlets kind of they tiptoe around. They don't want to make bodybuilders upset. They don't want to make companies upset. They don't want to really tell it for what it is. And that's one thing that I love about your page is that you just tell it how it is. You tell it how you think it is, how you perceive the show, how you perceive the placings, how you perceive updates. And that is truly a high value of what you provide to the sport and the type of outlook you give to people. So I envy it and I greatly appreciate everything that you do for the sport, man.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's easy for me to be so honest because I never really see these guys in person. If I was there, if I was seeing them every weekend or something like that, I would probably be more careful. But the other side of the world, so I can say whatever I want.
Yeah, right, right.
Yeah.
Well, with that said, do you have like any aspirations of like going to an Olympia or an Arnold or anything like that in the future?
Yeah, I would love to. I would love to. I mean, I don't know if I said this online already, but Eric Janik is planning on uh, trying to compete at the Arnold. So if
Nice.
he gets the invite, I would try to go there with him. But it depends whether I get the visa. In Serbia we need
Mhm.
a visa to travel to US.
Yeah,
But I think I'm gonna get it. I mean, I'll try. So if that happens, I'll be at the Arnold. So
that'd be
yeah, I'm
awesome,
hoping for
man.
that.
And great
Yeah.
job with Eric, by the way. Eric's
Yeah,
looking
phenomenal,
amazing, bro.
phenomenal. You brought him at his absolute
Thank
best,
you.
man. Like that was a killer package you guys brought, and I
Mhm.
love that you also gave a breakdown of how you guys went about it. Again,
Mm.
just kind of telling the truth of the sport of how it is, and that's like I said, something that I truly envy as a consistent viewer of you. So, um,
Yeah, I mean, why not? As far as those things, why not say everything? I
yeah.
didn't
Yeah.
go too deep into the specifics, like as far as the drugs and stuff, but I mean, as far as like the approach to the peak weekend, to the diet and everything, why
Mhm.
not?
And how was he like how did he perceive getting on with you and kind of like getting started when considering his previous experience with coaches? And I don't know if he's self-coached before with how much knowledge he has, but with previous experiences compared to you, has he ever had that conversation of being like, man, this is very different, but I love how it is? Or has he kind of discussed about that at all?
He worked with Callum for a long time. I think for like maybe 3 years, something like that. And
Mhm.
he should be talking about this if he wants to. But basically, from what I gathered, he didn't get enough attention from Callum because he was focused more on Niall Darwin and so on.
Yeah,
So I mean, it wasn't just that. In my opinion, I'll be honest again. I checked the protocols and everything they were doing for the peak weeks and for the prep.
right,
I don't know if Callum, he knows what he's doing, of course,
right.
but I think he was probably being too careful. He played it too safe. In a way, he wasn't going to risk Eric losing any muscle.
Hmm.
He already wasn't exactly as big as the other open guys. So he wasn't gonna go all the way to get him really shredded. So he kept him kind of fat, a little bit too
Yeah.
fat.
Yeah,
That's not okay. It's okay maybe to go for crazy fullness and maybe not to lose some details in that way, but to bring someone on stage with fat glutes, I'm not okay with that. And
no.
yeah, as far as his approach, my approach with him and how we did things, it was very different. I think from what he did before,
Hmm.
but it obviously worked well. We only had 2 weeks and it played out really well. Yeah.
Wow. I didn't even realize you guys only had 2 weeks together before the showing here in Cal.
Yeah, only 2 weeks. Yeah,
Wow.
we were talking throughout the prep. He was sending me his updates. And I
Mm-hmm.
knew Callum was coaching him, so I was just kind of supporting him. I didn't want to really comment too much, but in the end, like 6 weeks out, maybe he was. I was like, "This is not good, bro." I was like, "This is
Mm-hmm.
bad. You need to start doing something. I don't know what Callum is giving you, but talk to him, push him to start pushing you." And then he updated me again at like maybe 3 weeks out, and I was like, "This is still not good. Maybe you
Mm-hmm.
have time, but you need to push really hard." And
Yeah.
then at 2 weeks out, he just called me and he was like, "I want you to peak me." And again, we had 2 weeks, so it was really 2 weeks of dieting and the peak week at the same time.
Right.
So we didn't have like a 1 week to just focus on bringing the package, like bringing the fullness or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
dehydrating. We had to do the cardio until the last day, basically.
Wow.
Mm.
That's pretty
Yeah.
incredible, the package that you brought, considering, the timeline that you guys had, where you truly like took over the prep at 2 weeks out. And he's clearly amped up about it here whenever he was finishing off that routine there. But yeah, he had a great showing. It was his all-time best. And it has me very excited. Hopefully he does get that Arnold approval, because I'd love to see him on the Arnold stage.
That
Agreed.
would be awesome. And the next time we see him on stage, it's going to be much, much bigger because we already made so much progress in this off season, if you're going to call it that. I mean,
Hmm.
he was on not really TRT, but TRT plus, whatever,
Yeah.
250 milligrams of test, basically, and some GH, some insulin. So really, it wasn't a blast cycle or whatever. We only started like 2 weeks ago, and
Hmm.
he's already up to like almost 290.
Wow.
So I think after this cycle, he's gonna probably go up to like to 320 maybe. I'm
I
hoping
was
for
gonna
that
say clearly
350.
300 without a doubt, right? I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's
yeah, for sure. Yeah,
wow.
and I'm hoping for it to be like clean 315, 320, and then diet down like all the way this time.
Hmm.
Completely shredded. So it's gonna be a different package. I mean, I'm not saying he's gonna win the Arnold, but
Of course,
if he can,
right.
I don't know, maybe fight for like top five, top six, and then maybe win a smaller show after that, that would be amazing. Yeah,
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
that'd be a huge win.
without a
that
doubt.
would be
Yeah.
huge. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I mean, this is incredible what you guys have done, and especially going into this off season and to already be up 30 pounds, as you mentioned, and continuing to go up that scale. And since we're already kind of on the subject a little bit, tell us a little bit more about your coaching, your background. If you'd like to, you kind of start with how you got into bodybuilding altogether, and then kind of how this all became to fruition here.
Oof, okay, that's like three questions. How?
Sorry,
Yeah.
brother. Sorry, man. I have a tendency of doing that. That's maybe why the podcast
Yeah.
doesn't get as many views.
Yeah. So let's start from the beginning. How I got into bodybuilding.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just really like the superheroes and stuff like that, like from the cartoons. And I
Mm,
wasn't really reading comic books, but really I was watching cartoons and anime and stuff like that. And I was like that look. And at some point, I started working out with some of my friends outside, like there's some push-ups, pull-ups, stuff like that. But I
mhm.
was I was never athletic. Like I was always kind of like a fat kid. Couldn't do any push-ups until then. Just wasn't athletic at all. But when I started working out after like maybe 6 months of doing something, I noticed some results. So my genetics were terrible, like completely, definitely not built for bodybuilding at all. But yeah, when I saw some results, I was like, okay, I was addicted, and then I started training. And the first magazine I saw was 2008, Muscular Development,
Mm.
with I think Dexter. Dexter was on the cover, but Jay Cutler was the Mr. Olympia. He was inside because Dexter won that year, and he was on the cover. And when I saw that, I was amazed with Dexter, but I was more amazed by Jay Cutler. Actually, I remember that. And then I started, watching some YouTube. It was Louis Marco back then, Hodge twins. I don't know if you guys remember those guys.
Oh
I don't know
yeah.
how old are you?
I'm
Yeah,
Both.
the Hodge
25
twins are
gonna
great,
be
man.
I'm 25 gonna be 26 this year. I don't know much about their YouTube, the Hodge twins, but I watch a lot of their Instagram content.
Uh
Yeah.
huh.
And I'm 23. So
Yeah, so you probably didn't watch them back then when they were basically doing only bodybuilding content.
Mm.
So I was watching them, Physiques of Greatness, Chris Jones, stuff like that. And I kind of got into bodybuilding that way. And at some point, I was just like, I need to do something that I love in my life. I can't bring myself to work a 9 to 5 job or whatever. And
Hmm.
I realized bodybuilding is something I love, and I tried. And a couple of years later, I managed to actually to compete and actually earn a salary for that, like this national sponsorship, because
Nice.
I was winning the IBB European Championships and at the Worlds I was pretty good and the
Mm.
national stuff as well. And you get paid in Serbia if you're one of the top five best athletes in the country.
Wow.
So
That's
I
pretty
was doing
sick.
that. Yeah, yeah, and then in the same time, I started a YouTube channel as well, and it started paying off as well. As I was competing, I started coaching other people as well, and so it all connected. And
Nice.
yeah, I'm not competing anymore, but I got my YouTube channel and my coaching business. Yeah.
Very nice.
Hmm.
And you said along the way you started coaching. Was this kind of like how far into your competition career did you really start taking on clients, and when did you know that like you were going to be wanting to continue to coach and continue to progress in that fashion?
So, I know a lot of people from over here, I mean, from the world, basically, who are coaching other people, who are training other people when they are basically just the beginners themselves.
Hmm.
And I was training maybe for, I don't know, man, like 10 years, something like that. And I still wasn't going to dare to prep anybody, to coach anybody. And I had a friend who was a really good competitor. I mean, kind of like on my level. And he didn't look very good. He prepped himself and he wasn't good for one show, and he was like, I'm gonna give it up, I'm gonna stop competing for this year. And I was like, let's try one more show. I'm gonna do a peak week with the knowledge I get from my other coach. I worked with a couple of coaches until that point as well, and the stuff that I learned from internet basically. And we tried, and he looked his best ever. He won that show. He won the overall. He became the national champion that year. And I could have won, but I prepared him, and he beat me as well. So yeah, I lost that national title, but I mean, I did some advertising, I guess, for coaching.
Yeah,
So, and I
right.
Wow.
proved to myself that I can actually prep guys and successfully do that. So that was the first client, like a competitor.
Yeah.
And then after that, I had another and another, and maybe they weren't that many because I was also competing at the same time, and I focused on my YouTube channel. But at some point, I decided to just, give it a go, and I started really liking it. And now I'm not even
Mhm.
sure if I like coaching or YouTube more. But yeah, I love both things for sure. I don't know. I can't go without either of them. Yeah.
Right. And I mean, from the sounds of it, I mean, obviously you're great at both. And I mean, you have pro athletes within Eric and a lot of your great amateurs as well. Like we were kind of scrolling through the page there. You see, you have a lot of great guys with tons of potential. And you're really bringing out the best in them, which is, it's really remarkable the type of work that you're doing. I see you work with both female and male athletes. If you had to give like a general number, how many clients do you think that you've coached over the years to the stage?
Oh, to the stage.
Hmm.
Hmm. I don't know. I currently have 50, around 50
Nice.
clients, but uh, I don't know. I couldn't guess.
Man, that is crazy. I didn't realize that you had that many clients. That's pretty sick.
Yeah,
Yeah.
at the time, they're not all competitors, but many of them are. Maybe right now I have about,
Mhm.
I don't know, 30-ish competitors, maybe currently. Yeah.
Nice.
Hmm.
Yeah, man, that's pretty incredible. And then with the YouTube, um, with that starting, I mean, I started watching your YouTube probably around 2 years ago, where I mean, the page it was still fairly big and it was continuing to grow, but it wasn't nearly rivaling like the Nick Strength and Powers, or the Muscle Discords, like these big names guys. And now I argue that you're potentially even bigger than them in just the sense of like the true opinions that you have of the sport and the credibility that you're getting along with the sport as well. Last year, winning I think the media bodybuilding coverage award from the
Yeah.
RBP, and things of that nature. That is, like I said, honestly incredible. But with your YouTube progression, I guess when did you know that it was going to continue to keep on progressing, and kind of how that came about? And you said that you've been doing that along with competing, but with YouTube, when did you start taking it more seriously?
First of all, I mean, I gotta say, I was always bigger than Muscle Discord. So
Oh,
his
okay.
channel is newer. Yeah, he started maybe like a couple of years ago, and I started like 7 years ago.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, and I
I don't
definitely have
watch
way more
his
views.
just side note, I don't watch his content. I don't really, that's not really
Yeah,
my
yeah.
you are solely like pretty much my one outlet that I watch. So, yeah, with that said,
Yeah.
I don't know
He,
much
he's
about
very
muscle.
Yeah, he's big on Instagram. He has a huge Instagram channel, and everybody follows that. But as far as the YouTube, no, he maybe gets like, I don't know, 3, 4 thousand views per video, and I get, I don't know, up to 25,000.
Yeah,
So he's definitely a way smaller channel, but he has a huge Instagram. And as far as Nick has a bigger channel for sure. He has like 1.5 million followers. That's
right.
huge. But I don't think like actual bodybuilders follow him too much. Yeah, maybe they do when it's like actual just news. But when it comes to analyzing shows, analyzing bodybuilders, if you are a bodybuilder yourself, you can hear that he doesn't know anything about really like the sport
Yeah,
because
the
he's a
nitty gritty
competitor.
of
He
it.
doesn't get it. Yeah. So I
Yeah.
think all of my followers are deep into bodybuilding, and
Yeah.
he's, I don't know, I think majority is just casual lifters.
Yeah.
I would
So
argue it's more of a mainstream type of channel. You know, like you get
yeah.
your big news outlets, you get your big news breaks there, and I think that that's where he gets a big source of his views, along with
Mm,
strongman coverage and things of that nature. But
yeah.
like you were kind of saying, like along with like the true bodybuilders that truly want to know about what's going on within the sport, how to assess these physiques, and really what to look for. That's kind of your channel right up your alley. So,
Yeah.
yeah. And Aiden, have you watched much of Ivan's channel and like know much
Oh
about?
yeah, dude. I mean,
Nice.
I've been watching. Yes, absolutely. So, I've probably been watching your channel for around 3 years. But realistically, all your coverage is super solid. I actually wanted to ask you a question about some of your coverage. So, what do you
Hmm.
find is the most difficult situation when it comes to balancing both your opinions and then kind of an unbiased way of being able to cover some of the bodybuilding drama? Sometimes, like, I mean, for example, Martin Fitzwater, that whole situation has been very interesting over the last year, kind of the meltdown and then also his trailing off on social media. So not that specific situation, but what do you find is most difficult when trying to weigh your unbiased opinion and then also the unbiased side of trying to fit the narrative into a well-oiled machine when you're publishing out on YouTube?
Okay, that's a deep question. I mean, I don't think I'm really trying to be that objective. I
Yeah.
am biased, I would say, and I just say what I think. I kind of consider myself like just a fan of the sport that
Yeah.
has a YouTube channel that just says whatever they think, and that's
Yeah.
it. I'm not considering myself like a proper media channel or
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah, like a bodybuilding journalist. That's not what you're trying to get perceived as.
Yeah, like kind of like a vlogger, whatever, blogger, more like it.
Yeah,
But as far as Martin, I mean, for example, I started bashing him ever since he attacked Tiger, Charles
yeah,
Tiger.
yeah,
Mhm.
So I mean, I wasn't gonna stand for that, and then everybody else took off later when he attacked the Nick, but I started earlier, and then I felt sorry for him after that because everybody attacked him.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know, and I'm just going by the feel.
Mhm.
I don't really have anything stuff planned out that much. I don't think too much about it.
yeah.
And as far as like being objective when it comes to analyzing the physiques and stuff, I don't know. I think I am. I mean, why would I be biased? I pretty much don't know any of these guys. I can be biased maybe towards Eric, but as far as everybody else, I can have maybe bias in terms of which physique I prefer. But as far as
Hmm.
like personality, I don't really care. That's what
Right.
I, that's
I
what
mean,
I think.
that's everybody within the sport, though. You know, like we all have physiques that we kind of gravitate towards, whether it's because we kind of find them more aesthetically pleasing, or we kind of fit that category. Watching you and your channel, I know that you specifically like the taller physiques, like the Andrews, the Samsons. Janicki
Mm.
is kind of in that category. You know, he's a little bit taller of a guy. You know, so
Yeah.
with that, I mean, obviously you're a taller guy, and you're a former competitor in that regard. Do you see the sport kind of trending in that direction where we're going to see more tall physiques getting rewarded at the highest levels? Or do you think that we're going to still have guys like Derek, Hottie, Nick that are still going to be amongst the top and still taking titles home?
I don't think it's trending in any way. They're awarding what they're seeing on that stage. And it just so happened that we had a couple of tall guys who
Hmm.
are pretty good. But I do think if we have like a top five that is consistent of maybe two shorter guys and two or three taller guys, they're gonna probably go with, taller, more aesthetic guys. That is maybe the trend in that way. They're giving them advantage.
Hmm.
A
And why do
couple of
you?
years ago, or like a decade ago, or 2 decades ago, it was
Mhm.
all about the size and the conditioning. The guts were, tolerated. Now it's not the case. Everybody has to be aesthetic. I mean, look at the top five. You have Derek with perfect vacuum, Hadi with great vacuum, Andrew with crazy aesthetic, Samson also.
Yeah.
Who was fifth? Was it Martin?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Martin fifth, Nick sixth this last year. Yeah.
Yeah. And then Nick is out of the top five. But I
Mhm.
mean, if Nick comes better this year, he's gonna place higher for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. And I kind of have this as like one of the ending questions. I might just kind of pitch this to you now, but your top five prediction for the Mr. O, based off of the updates that you've seen of guys and kind of where the sport's trending and kind of what type of improvements we're seeing, who do you have in the top five of the Mr. O for the open category?
That's also a loaded question. I didn't really think about it. I need to
Yeah.
sit down and really write it down and figure it
Hmm.
out for my prediction video. But like right off the bat, I'll just say whatever I think.
Yeah.
Uh, so let's say Samson first, Derek second, Andrew third, Nick fourth, Harry fifth.
Okay.
Top five. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think that's respectable. And I think that, I mean, it's kind of hard to argue Samson right now with the size that he's putting on and kind of this, the freak factor that he is. And, you know, if we go to his page, I think that we've kind of seen him over the years continue to progress towards that direction. Now, obviously, his wife's the main driver there in the coaching atmosphere. Do you, I mean, do you still think that that's going to be playing a factor in how he comes to the stage? Because I know in the past, you've kind of mentioned through your videos that Samson's wife coaching him maybe isn't the best decision, but I think we're kind of seeing that now over time, kind of playing well for him and his wife here.
Well, I'm like, I don't think it played well at all. I mean, ever since he started working with her, how
Hmm.
many times was he on? Once. 2024 Mr. Olympia. That's it. Every other
Hmm.
show he was off. Arnold, he was off. He lost it. Prague, he was off. The other Mr. Olympia, he was off. So that's four shows. They nailed it. They hit it okay once.
Yeah.
But because of that, I don't think. How many times can you really miss that much? At one point, you're gonna have to learn what works, what doesn't.
Hmm.
So even if he was prepping alone. So I think because of that, I don't think there is a chance of him really missing it that bad again.
Yeah.
And if he is 90% on, I think that's enough to win because he's that dominant right now. He's that big with that height. With He has perfect shape, perfect proportions, crazy
Hmm.
size, bigger than everybody else. I don't know, he has everything. Yeah, the conditioning is only one thing, but again, if he's 90% conditioned, that's it. He wins easy.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about potentially. I know that Fuad's had his statements kind of taken out of context sometimes, saying that he's the next Ronnie Coleman. Because I don't think that he's going to be that dominant, where it's just a door being
No.
slammed shut. But in the sheer mass and the sheer size category, you could definitely make that comparison because we haven't seen a bodybuilder on stage of that weight and of this
Well,
size.
look, if he, in my opinion, if he hired somebody like Chris Aceto, like
Hmm.
3 or 4 years ago, he would have like four titles by now.
Yeah.
And maybe he would have that legacy like Ronnie Coleman.
Yeah,
But he was off too many times. And or if he hired Aceto like 10 years ago, maybe he would have eight titles until now.
Mhm.
If he
yeah,
took it
that,
seriously. I think he
Yeah.
could have been much greater, but in this situation, as far as comparing him to Ronnie, I mean, you can't compare them because Ronnie had a huge legacy, but there are similarities, of course. I mean, they're both big, huge black guys with crazy round muscle bellies. They
yeah,
are very similar. It's only that, of course, Ronnie is much better. He also had the conditioning and the hardness and everything, and he
yeah.
was way better than everybody else. I mean,
Oh
Samson is a
yeah.
little bit off and he loses to so many guys. So, yeah, Ronnie was definitely way greater, if that's the word.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. I mean, he's obviously the go to the sport, and we're talking about comparing him
Mm.
to a guy with just a single title underneath his belt, and
Yeah.
honestly, placings that have been trending downwards, like you're kind of saying over the last year or so.
Mm.
And he's lost to guys like Martin, and he's lost to guys like Nick, and I think that that is a big contributor to why he's not as dominant and why the judges might not view him in that light. Um,
Yeah, Ronnie wouldn't lose to top five, top six guys, never.
No,
Mm.
definitely not. Definitely not. Um, and I mean, if you go through and we're kind of just got, I just want to kind of go through the top guys and get your opinion because I really do think it's really, really sick that you're on here, kind of giving us your thoughts if you don't mind. But
Hmm.
um, we have Martin's updates as of late. And I mean, just genuinely seeing off this photo, I do think that he's put on some quality size, especially in the upper body and the
Hmm.
arms. I think that as long as he continues to stay locked in and he has somebody like Brett here in his corner to keep him kind of, whether it's off of social media or just allowing him to not necessarily go through the comments like this, I think that we can be seeing the best potential Martin Fitzwater to date. And that's a scary thought because his proportions and his bubbliness, his muscle density, like it's in my opinion very similar to like a early Phil Heath. And I'm kind of curious, like, what are your thoughts there of Martin and how he's continuing to kind of improve over this time?
Well, I mean, he definitely can improve a lot, and he probably will. I'm just also not sure about his coaching situation. I mean, I know he is definitely like a nerve wreck. So it's probably him being off at so many shows probably had to do a lot with him more than with his coach. But again, I'm not sure. I've
Yeah.
heard some stories about Stefan that his coaching isn't exactly great. So maybe that's an issue. And I don't see Martin changing a coach. So I don't know if he's going to be on. It's kind of also like a hit or miss. Sometimes he's really on, sometimes he's really off. And especially after the Arnold Classic, I just don't know what to expect. But as far as like his size and his shape, I mean, he definitely has the potential. Do I see him having the potential to win the whole show? I don't know if he has the right structure to be that big. He does remind me of Phil a little bit, but
Hmm.
I don't know if he has that much size, that shape of certain body parts. He has great chest, great quads, but I don't know if he can build up his back that much or his arms. Structure is kind of a little bit smaller. So, I mean, if Hardy won, if Derek is winning, sure,
Yeah.
it's definitely possible. But considering everything, his track record, his mental state, his the shape of his muscle and everything, I don't see him becoming a Mr. Olympia. To be honest, if I had to just say one definite statement, no, I don't see him winning.
Yeah.
You
What's up, guys? It's Isaiah here with Anomalix. Please go ahead and drop a like, comment, subscribe on the video. I greatly appreciate it, as well as share with your friends and family as we're trying to grow the Keep Working podcast. But I wanted to get on here and show you guys a couple of the awesome products they have here at Anomalix now that I'm partnered with them, where you can use code Isaiah at checkout to save on some great products. So first and foremost, they have the EAAs. These are great for intra workout as well as just trying to stay hydrated on a hot summer day, which, as you guys know, here in Indiana, it gets pretty toasty during the summer. We have pump products where if you don't want to use that caffeine, you want to kind of keep it a very clean, great pre-workout to use. Pump is fantastic, as well as the pre-workout they have here, both in Rocket Pop flavor. The flavor is phenomenal. Pre-workout has about 300 milligrams of caffeine in it, and it really sparks ignition really for you to get going during your training days, as well as recovery with the creatine monohydrate, a very clean, clinically based formula for you and your gains. Again, code Isaiah at checkout can save you money. Please drop a like, comment, subscribe, and share with your friends. And thank you again so much for watching the Keep Working podcast. Now let's get you back to the video.
future, no,
It would
Yeah,
have to take a lot.
it
A
would
lot
take
of
a
things would
lot.
have to shift.
I think you'd have
yeah,
to see a lot of guys being off, and I think you'd have to see some major improvements on his behalf. But with that said, I mean, I'm personally a major fan of his physique, and I think that he has crazy structure, crazy muscle bellies, and I'd love to see him put it all together. But I do think you bring a good point to the table that maybe the coaching isn't quite there. They've only really nailed it that couple times, at Prague and well, the Arnold Classic was obviously a bit of a miss, but. Um,
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, I'd love to see him put it all together again and really bring that type of package to the Olympia stage because that is the type of package that I think could land him potentially in the top three. Keep going up in placing. So, um,
Maybe, yeah. That Prague look that was one of the best peaks I've seen in my life, basically.
Yeah.
yeah,
So yeah, if somebody can peak like that, like to have that kind of hardness and that depth of the details and that dryness and that fullness at the same time, that definitely is very, very dangerous. But
hmm
I don't know. For me, the Mr. Olympia is kind of is the structure. You need to have certain structure. But again, I talked about Nick as well. I don't see Nick being the Mr. Olympia, but if you compare him to everybody else, one by one,
yeah,
I can see him beat Samson. I can see him beat Andrew. I can see him beat everybody else. Derek, he already beat almost all of them. So,
Hmm.
hmm
one by one, he can beat them all out. But can he win the biggest title in the world? Will they give him the title? I don't know. I just don't see Martin representing the whole sport. And as
hmm
far as Nick, I think it's also highly unlikely. But I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel like if anyone has a chance this year to really be a first time Olympia winner, it would be Nick. I feel like Nick has the peak pretty down pat, between his Arnold look
Yeah.
that he brought himself with Guy. And I do think Prob was kind of part of that process from kind of what I've heard through the grapevine.
That
But
that's a that situation is crazy.
it
I
is.
don't know what to
Yeah.
think about that. So,
Yeah,
so you have guy going on Fuad's podcast and basically describing their whole prep in all the details,
every
all the little
detail.
details. Yeah, like ten
Mhm.
weeks out, he took over completely. He was checking him out every day. He was driving to see him. He was hands on completely. It was the most devoted prep ever.
Yeah.
And then you have Fuad a couple of weeks ago saying that Nick prepped alone. And I asked Fuad, I was like, "What are you saying? Didn't guy come to your podcast and say that he prepped Nick? Who's
Yeah.
lying here, him or Nick?" And he was like, "I don't know. Ask them." And then you
Yeah.
have Nick saying that he prepped alone, but then he's still friends with Guy who said those things, and now he's saying Prob help him as well.
I know.
I
Yeah.
don't know what is going on. I have no idea.
It is
No,
strange.
and
I
at this
mean,
point, I will say it does seem like it's a total prop. Like Prob's totally taken over Nick's prep. Like Prob's posting photos of Nick. I think that that's
Mhm.
very evident now with what they're
Yeah.
going forward with. And Prob is a very I've liked Prob a lot. I've always kind of followed him through Andy. I don't know his last name, but he's a classic guy that works with him, and I think that they bring this guy right here, Andy. Bodybuilding. So it's last Padres or whatever his last
oh
name
yeah.
is. Yeah, but anyway, he brings always
With
great
great.
condition. Oh, go ahead.
I don't
Oh,
know this guy.
I think it cut out for a second. Have you seen him before, Ivan? Or
Oh, I think I know this guy. Is he like a big social media guy?
yeah, yeah. So he started a podcast. I know he's been on the Fit Nation podcast, which you've been on there as well a couple of times, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And he's a really solid classic physique guy. I think that he brings crazy conditioning and he brings a really full wide package. He is qualified for the Mr. Olympia this year as well. So last year I think he was around like the 31st to 32nd type of placing in the
Yeah.
Classico.
Hmm.
Hoping to improve on that this year, obviously, but. Um, yeah, he's had a great season so far. I know that he's
Which place did he take at Mr. Olympia?
last year he took like I think 32nd or 31st or something somewhere around there.
Yeah.
Are they awarding above 16th?
No, technically like that was just like his own mental math that he did to kind of know like where he
Uh-huh.
placed.
Uh-huh. Okay.
Nah.
So yeah, but this was his Legion showing 9 weeks ago, it looks like, and this was a second place for him, but still gave him the points to get to the O.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but Prob and him have been working together for years, and they've brought some pretty crazy packages. I think that this isn't nearly as hard and as grainy as I've seen him in the past, but Prob always brings his guys in condition. I think that was pretty evident here this last weekend at Tampa with Nick. Um, but
Well, I mean, if this is his only, this is like his best guy after Nick?
yeah, I believe so. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I can't base an opinion based on one guy. Maybe he has crazy genetics to get shredded easy.
Hmm.
So, and Nick also, I'm sure it's not that difficult to pick Nick well.
Right.
But I think he's working with a lot of other guys. He has a lot of clients, right? I don't know.
Mhm.
Prop. I
No,
didn't hear about him until
I
this.
I'm pretty sure he does. I'll just go to his page real quick. You'll see he has a bunch of different guys kind of posted between Men's Physique, Classic, obviously Nick with the Open. I don't know many other. I don't know if he works with any other Open pros.
Well,
So
Nick doesn't work with coaches who coach other open pros.
Yeah.
yeah, that's very true too. So yeah, I can't imagine he works with any Open pros, but he does have a couple Classic pros. You're seeing a lot of Andy's updates here. So Andy's his probably his biggest client before Nick.
Mm.
But he's gotten a couple guys some pro cards as well at the national level. So he's trending in the right direction, I would say, overall.
Yeah, good for him. I mean, this is definitely a huge opportunity, and he's
Hmm.
taking advantage of it. I mean, he did a great job with Nick for Tampa Pro. He picked him perfectly
Hmm.
almost.
Absolutely.
Uh, I don't know. Did you guys like that look more or the Arnold Classic? I mean, it was very similar, but
It's
do
it's
you have a
very.
preference?
I think I like the Arnold Classic look a bit better, to be quite frank.
Me
I'm
too.
in the same boat.
I think that he
Yeah.
brought. I think who's the best bodybuilder posted it. A side by side
Oh,
from
I didn't. I
Arnold.
didn't see it. Yeah.
Let me double check here. I thought that they posted a side by side of his. His 2025 Olympia look actually is what they posted. That's not really
Oh,
comparable.
that's not. Yeah,
Yeah, that's
I
not
wasn't
really good
sure.
look.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if it's just maybe like an impression because of the Arnold that was the first time seeing Nick that well picked,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and also maybe the lighting is a little bit better.
Hmm.
But
I liked his Arnold look better. I think that it maybe it's just the nostalgic of the Arnold, the ring in the back and the lighting. I think the lighting obviously
mm,
is pretty impeccable there. Um, but I mean, overall, I mean, I think that the packages, like you were saying, are fairly similar in the regards of how grainy and detailed he was. He
but I
might
think
be,
maybe he was a little bit grainier here and harder
yeah,
with the
Yeah.
Arnold.
Yeah, just
right?
a touch. I would agree.
Mm,
We can go. This is his obviously his Arnold video. We can go to the Tampa video here in a moment, but this is, I mean, this was obviously the best Nick to date, and I think that his Tampa look was comparable, but might not be. I mean, just look at the confidence here too. I mean, he knew he was on.
yeah,
He knew
yeah,
he what he's bringing to the stage, and at the time, I still thought it was kind of crazy that he had lost that show. I thought that he had beat
yeah.
Andrew. Um,
Everybody thought that. I mean, I was doing a live stream, and I don't know if it was just my live stream, but everybody was like, "Nick wins. Nick is winning." And I
mhm.
checked the other pages as well. Everybody thought that, and it was between Hadi and Nick. We all thought that. I
Yeah.
know. I know there is like when I type for Arnold Classic 2026 on Google to find some photos, it's always Nick Newton Powers thumbnail of it pops up, and it's Hadi versus Nick.
Yeah,
Hmm.
So like he thought that was the top two, and then Andrew Jack wins out of nowhere. And then
yeah.
and then everybody else was like, "Yeah, sure, he can win," but nobody saw that coming. Yeah,
Yeah, I didn't see it at the time personally, and we'd had a live stream going on this channel as well. I didn't see the judging call at the time. I thought that Nick kind of slammed the door. But obviously,
mm,
I think the judges were kind of making a statement with whenever you bring a 90 to 95% Andrew, his structure and his muscle bellies are just going to be that dominant. Um,
yeah,
and this, I do agree. I think kind of looking over this video, I think that he was a bit harder at the Arnold. However,
yeah.
I will say I think his waist might be a touch better here at Tampa.
He was. It was much better. Yeah,
Yeah.
I wouldn't say that. It was much better. He controlled it really well. I mean, in the transitions during the pose, not during the comparisons. In his pose routine here, he was fine, but in the comparisons, he actually kept it tight. I mean,
Yeah.
it wasn't perfect, I would say, but it was almost there.
Yeah.
If it was, let's say, 50% of the Arnold, it was 90% of Tampa. So he
Hmm.
improved it quite a bit. Yeah,
And well, you see this package here with Tampa, and obviously, I mean, we're what are we 10 weeks or 12 weeks out from? We're actually closer to the Olympia than
eight
that.
weeks.
Yeah, 8 weeks out from the Olympia. I don't know what improvements can be made, in that short of a period, if any. At the highest level, I mean, I coach, but I don't coach any of those top guys like you have with Eric. Are there big changes that can be had in that short of a period to bring to the stage, or not necessarily?
Well, I mean, I don't expect him to, I don't know, grow bigger quads in 8 weeks, but all
Right.
he can do really is just maybe maintain as good of a condition as possible without, tiring himself too much. Maybe, try to relax as much as possible while
Hmm.
staying relatively lean. And then basically it's all about the peaking. How good of a peak can he bring? And maybe he can learn how to control the midsection even better. Maybe learn how to do a deeper vacuum
Hmm.
or do
Yeah.
a vacuum. That would help him. But other than that, what could he change? You can't expect him to grow bigger arms or something like that in
Right.
8 weeks.
Yeah, no, not much growth's going to happen in that short a period of time.
Yeah.
Well, seeing this package, do you think that there's any, because you kind of just off top of your head pick Samson to win. Do you think that there's any way that Nick could beat Samson if
Sure, he
Samson's
absolutely
on?
good. If Samson is on, then no, no.
Okay.
I don't see that. No way, no chance. If
Both of
Samson is
them.
on, nobody can touch him.
Okay. That's what I was kind of curious about. So Samson's on, then it's pretty much his show to lose. Or yeah, his show's to lose then.
Yeah, I think Samson is leagues above all these guys.
Hmm.
Yeah, again, in that way, you can compare him to Ronnie. I think he's actually that dominant. But if he's on, and that's a huge if.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
then just to kind of get your show breakdown overall, what did you think of Joe Palacios and what he brought to the stage?
I think he was off, like big time off. He wasn't conditioned enough. He was just soft, but he was huge, and I feel like he was just too full. I don't know what they did, him and
Hmm.
Justin, but maybe they overcarb him and he spilled over. So I think he was just really off. He was massive, man. He's almost as big as Nick, basically.
Yeah.
Maybe at some points even bigger, honestly. His side chest is insane, and his back is huge as well. I don't like that the asymmetry. His left side of the back is smaller than the right one, but it's
Yeah.
still just too much size. I don't like the quads. I really don't like the quads. That's the biggest issue, and maybe the waist size. But he's a freak. He
Hmm.
has good abs. He has good abdominal control as well, and he took third. That was fair.
Hmm.
James was just much better. He was on. So for the next show
Yeah.
for Atlanta, if I think he can. If Joe brings, I don't know. 10% is easy, I think. He can maybe become even 20% better. If he does that, he's gonna win Atlanta, and I can see him potentially being a top 10 Olympian.
Really?
with that much size. Yeah, if he's peaked, I mean, compare. You can go to who is the best bodybuilder Instagram page and see the comparison between his last year's Texas Pro and this year's Tampa, and
Hmm.
conditioning the difference is huge.
Yeah.
So if he
Yeah.
comes like that, he can come in like, yeah, that's it. He can come in basically dry and really full at the same time. He can bring that plastic look, and it reminds me of Phil Heath even maybe.
Yeah.
He can be that good. So if he brings that kind of conditioning with this size that he has now, that's gonna
Hmm.
be tough to beat, even though his structure is not that great.
Okay. That's interesting. I didn't know that you had him or you thought of him that highly to be a potential top 10 Olympian. So with that kind of being the bar that you're setting for him, where do you see someone like Sergey Danilov kind of landing, for instance? Because I've seen a lot of people placing him in the top five or top 10, and I know that Fuad,
Mm.
he's huge on that. I personally don't see it that way. I don't think that he's a top 10 Olympian. I know that he's going to be next to Samson Dowda whenever they come out by name order, but I still don't find him to be that overly impressive that he'll be a top 10 guy off the rip.
Well, look, I mean, Joe already beat Charles, and Charles was, I think, eighth or ninth at one point. He's going to
Mm,
face Regan this weekend, so we'll see how good he is when he's next to Regan, and Regan is also top 10 Olympian.
Hmm.
So I think Joe is in that mix potentially. If he comes in super on, he can be top 10. But
yeah.
as far as Sergey Danilo, we have no idea what he's going to look like next to these guys. He competed only once. He did only one pro show, and that was France Pro. He only stood next to Quinton, and he beat him at his
Yeah.
pro debut. So when it comes to him, it's cool to see that somebody is going to play really well before you have ever seen him compared to everybody else.
Hmm.
So what Ward is saying and trying to do here is basically just not pay attention to the name too much and just try to see the physique for what it is. And Ian
Yeah.
said something interesting in the podcast. He was like, I was seventh at the Mr. Olympia, and he's better than me. So that was
Mm.
different, yeah, different era, basically, you can say almost.
Yeah, totally
So
different era.
yeah, today we have like really competitive top 10. So I don't know if he can crack the top 10. I don't know, man. His quads from the front, I don't love them. I don't like the
Yeah.
shape,
Yep.
but he's massive. Like he's tall as well. He's not dwarf a lot of these guys.
Yeah.
And if he brings like really good conditioning and detail,
Hmm.
I mean, I don't know. He's in really good condition already, but when he gets dialed in completely, does he have the detail? Does he
Right.
have those fibers showing everywhere, or he just looks like a lean, bag of potatoes?
Yeah.
So
Well,
I'm not
and
sure.
right. And my big thing is with his shape, especially like I'd like if I wanted to see if I thought that he was going to be a potential top 10 Olympian, I'd like to see a bit more lat flare here, a bit more quad sweep. The side
Mhm.
leg, I'll give him this. His side leg is pretty remarkable.
Mm,
I do like the drop. I do like the tie-ins there. I think that he's
yeah.
doing well there. But then we turn around to the back, and obviously this is not the greatest lighting, it's a certain angle, but I don't see anything that screams, okay, he's a top 10 guy for sure. Like I think that this is a very average back of a top 15 to not placing in the Mr. O. And that's just my
Yeah.
personal opinion.
Yeah, that's my one of my biggest worries about him, the quads and the back. But actually, in this video, I was impressed with the back. I thought it was worse. Now that
Mm,
he's getting leaner, it's actually looking. Maybe the back itself isn't that great, but the back poses are kind of okay because of his massive arms and
Yeah.
delts.
yeah,
Uh, yeah, but his legs from behind also, you can see that there is no outer sweep, like the width of the legs from behind. It's pretty flat.
right.
So he definitely has some gaps. He has a lot of size.
Hmm.
I don't know. I don't know. It's definitely a wild card. Again, it would be cool to predict that he's going to actually place in the top 10 before you ever see him compared. But
Yeah,
I don't know, man. I'm with Paul Lozon on this one. I need to be here to prove something first.
yeah.
But maybe top 12. Let's say I would say top 12.
I totally agree. And kind of going off to our next guy, I got two more for you. But I know that it's getting pretty late over there, so I don't want to take too much of your time. But Hadi Chupan, you have him within your top five. Do you see him dropping? Like, do you think that he's like his leg size isn't going to be as prominent? Do you think that he won't bring as great of a package, or do you see him still improving now that he's with Milos and kind of doing a few different things with their peak and their prep?
I think he's going to improve because he was off Eddie Arnold, and that was a Hardy that just faced all that backlash. I mean, backlash is putting it mildly. His whole country turned against him. Like the
Yeah.
statues of him
Yeah.
were burned down. The posters.
Hmm.
He was under so much stress, and he still looked presentable. He was pretty okay at
Yeah.
the
Hmm.
Arnold. He took that third spot. He was fighting. We all thought he was fighting for the first, right?
Yeah.
So he was still pretty good considering the chaos that happened in his life. And now everything is, much more calm. And he has Milos. And I think, even if Milos doesn't nail the peak perfectly, he has like the new motivation, new coach to prove himself to the coach, and a coach that is very passionate about prepping him and helping him out. So I think
Hmm.
this new motivated Hari, I don't think his body is fading. He's not that old, really. I think he's maybe like 36, something like that.
Yeah.
So, his legs, they're going to be probably a little bit asymmetrical, but not too much. And I think he can bring like a bigger, better, harder, fuller package. And, his physique is definitely not my favorite. I don't like it, to be honest, because
Right.
mainly because of the obvious synthol use in his delts and arms. And also like the way it flows with his forearms, they're tiny, and his biceps are like huge, and the
Hmm.
shoulders. It doesn't look right. And also, he's a shorter guy. I prefer taller physiques.
Yeah.
But I can definitely see him being in the top mix. I mean, maybe he can even win the Olympia. It would be really cool for Milos to have an athlete that wins the title, because
Right.
Milos is from Serbia, of course, and I know him personally and all that.
Nice.
But as far as Haris' physique, I don't love it, and I do think he can do. I don't know. I don't see him really winning, but he
Yeah.
won it before. So if Samson is a bit off, if everybody else is kind of, there, he can beat everybody else. I mean, why not? I can see him beating Derek. If
You can
that's the
see it.
top
You think
two,
he could beat Nick again?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
I mean, Nick beat him when he was off. I don't know.
Right.
And that was a really good Nick. So if Hardy is improved with his vacuum and stuff, yeah, I can see him beating Nick.
Hmm.
Okay. And then the last thing we'll touch on is our current Mr. O champion, Derek Lungsford. He is not really posting much of any physique updates, especially getting this close to the show outside of, just
Mm.
really just enclosed, just showing the arms that he has. And, I think that's been his biggest criticism is the biceps and the shoulders and, I think obvious synthol use. But overall, what do you think of Derek, his physique and his chances of retaining the title this year?
Well, I don't know. I like his physique more than Hardy's physique, to be honest.
Mhm.
But I mean, he has, I guess, obvious synthol use, but it's not that obvious. I think Hardy is way more obvious.
Mm.
And yeah, last year people didn't really like him winning the title, but I didn't see it any other way. I thought he deserved to win. I wasn't happy that he was winning, but Samson was way off. Andrew wasn't on that level yet. I think he deserves fair and square. So he's definitely very dangerous. Whether you like him or not, he's definitely very dangerous. He can definitely win again. I mean, he's always really shredded from behind, so you will
Mhm.
never say he's off. He's going to be
No,
shredded from
no.
behind. And
Right,
that's how everybody basically gauges whether somebody is off or on, the glutes. You
right.
know, it sounds silly, but that's how it is. And what he needs to do is just be super full from the front, have big quads. That's the main thing. Be full from the front and just leaning up from behind, and he's very, very dangerous. He has a really
Hmm.
good chance of winning again for sure.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, well, I greatly appreciate you coming on the cast, man. Like I said, love your channel, love all your viewpoints that you bring to the sport. Obviously, continue doing what you're doing, man. I love watching everything that you got. You're getting me through my preps and everything as well, and many others out there. So I greatly appreciate you coming on. And I'm not sure. I know you work with Blackstone Labs. Do you have any sort of code that you want to kind of plug through there?
Yeah, thank you, man, for inviting me. And yeah, good luck to you guys with your channel in the future. As far as Blackstone Labs, yeah, just go divan.
Code even. All right. Awesome.
Yes,
Well, thank you
sir.
again for coming on. If you made it to this point in the video, please drop a like, comment, and subscribe. Go follow Even on YouTube and on Instagram, where he posts daily updates for the bodybuilding media. We greatly appreciate everything you do. And again, thank you for finding the time to come on here, man. Get plenty of rest, and I'll be watching the video later this evening.
Yeah, awesome, man. Thank you guys as well.
Yes,
Thanks,
sir.
brother.
Thank you, my friend.
Bye, guys.